Hi, this is Jim Urban. This video was inspired by my wife, Susan, who pointed to me that I should watch this PBS special. It's called Weathered PBS Inside the LA Firestorm, and it's a 55-minute coverage showing you about the LA fires. Now, I have to tell you that we could all potentially be affected by forest fires and the embers that fly and get blown through the wind. Now, let me tell you that we were directly affected in the Denver area, and that was called the Marshall Fire, which was right here in Colorado in our suburbs in Boulder County and the town of Superior. I know a lot of you remember this fire. It was just back in 2021. And this was in the city of Louisville. So it's crazy, but they actually referenced that fire in this PBS special. And the other fire was the Lahaina fire in Hawaii in 2023. And then also, of course, the Palisade fire in 2025 was just in January of this year. I'm sitting here on March 31st, 2025 doing this video. Just felt really inspired. I've done some other informative videos. The ones that I did most recently were about solar panels and how to make your home an active, passive, a passive house and not an active solar house. So you should check those videos out as well. But this one really hits home, close to home, because of the fires that we had not that long ago here in the Denver metro area. So I'm here to talk to you about preventative measures that you can take to help you with your current home. Believe it or not, it's called home hardening, which is a way to enhance the resilience against fire threats to your own home. I've got some tips for you that you need to get a piece of paper and a pencil out right now, pause this video and make some notes, because I think this is really, really important. And it's inspiring me to do things to my own house, to be honest with you, because right here, I'm in the Littleton area in the southwest part of Denver, and I'm probably only about a few minute drive to the foothills. If you live in the mountains, whether you live in the mountains or the suburbs, you could be affected by fires. We've had fires. I can remember the Hayman fire that we had up in the mountains. Horrible, horrible fire. I heard some really horrible stories. We had fires up in Grand Lake not that long ago either, by the way. My sister has a cabin up there, and the fire got pretty close to her cabin, but I have some friends that lost some property up there in that fire. And that wasn't that long ago either, by the way. So, like for those that are listening to this, spread this video around. I'm telling you right now, share it with your friends, because I've got some tips that I think really can help. In fact, in that PBS special, regarding the LA firestorms, they actually pinpointed a house that was hardened, preventative nature done to the house to prevent it from burning, and it was the only house standing left in that neighborhood. And it's just amazing to hear about stories like that. This stuff really works. All right, so let's get right into it here next. The first thing I want to say is that even if you never get a fire, it might help you save in your insurance costs. And that's a wonderful thing right now, because insurance is kind of in an uproar right now. Homeowners insurance has gotten expensive, and if you could do preventative things to help your costs come down, that could be a benefit as well. Okay, so let me start with the number one thing that you can do. That is, make sure that you have a Class A, a combustible roof shingle. And that type of shingle It may be a metal roof, it might be a composition roof, but you need to find out on what you got on your roof to make sure that you're covered. Most of the high-end roofs, or at least the average to high-end roof composition roofs, are going to be pretty much fireproof to some degree. And so you should check into that and make sure you have, and check if you have a shed, kind of check out what kind of roof shingles you have on your shed as well, or any outbuildings that you may have, a detached garage, a barn, whatever you might have. The second thing is the vents around your house, whether they be up in your attic, around the base of your house, of your foundation. A lot of times houses have crawl space vents and stuff like that. There's this thing called screening. It's called install ember resistant vents with a 1/8 inch mesh. And it's pointed out here in my research that you could consider Vulcan vents or brand guard vents. These are things to check into because the embers that fly around when the wind and by the way, embers can travel up to a mile before they just go out and they're not on fire anymore. And that's amazing. And if you saw the winds from the LA fires or even in the Marshall fire, you could just see how those embers were just thousands of them are in the air blowing around. Now they find their way into the vents into our house, and then our inside of our house starts burning. And you can prevent that with certain type of vents or putting that 1/8 mesh in those vents. Okay, that's the second thing. The third thing that I want to talk about is called Zone 0. And that's anything within a reasonable distance of your house, vegetation, trees, fence, shed, decking, of course, stuff like that all needs to be checked out. There's a lot you can do to prevent. One of the things that I'm going to talk to you about right now, I have a split rail fence. It's a wood fence on my house, split rail. And I've been trying to make the fence just look newer with some sealant to keep the new color into my fence. But I found out today that there's actually fire retardant paint, and it's called Thermogard paint. They also make that in stain and in sealants as well. So I'm going to be checking into that, because if you could prevent your fence from burning, which would lead to potential more fire closer to your house, along with your shed and your deck and everything. You could do the same thing on your deck. If you have a wood deck, a redwood deck, you want to find some sealant or some stain or some paint that's like a Thermogard. It's actually a fire retardant, non-combustible paint. Did you even know that existed? We don't talk about that, do we? Let's go on to the actual siding of our house. Now, I did some research, quite a bit of research on siding. And most of our houses here, I know in the Denver area, are built with compressed board siding, which is very flammable. It's very, if you don't keep paint on it, it actually just crumbles and falls apart and disintegrates. And so the most reasonable and cheapest way and inexpensive way to protect that siding is with this Thermogard type paint, fire retardant paint. There's all kinds of, Thermogard is just one brand. I guess there's other brands as well. So that's an inexpensive way. The expensive way to do it is with siding that's like a concrete made siding called James Hardie siding, which is a wonderful siding. It's made such headways over the last 20 years. James Hardie siding is fantastic, but it's extremely expensive. And not everybody wants to spend that kind of money just to redo their siding. So I came up with this thought of finding fire-resistant paint. So check into that. And the fifth thing that I want to talk to you about is windows. So not all windows are created equal. And there is a class fire rating of windows. And I think you at least have to have a double pane, but if you have triple pane, that even helps more. But it has a lot to do with the frame of the windows as well. So you'll need to check in to see what kind of fire rating your windows have. Same thing with your doors. Now, I have a beautiful door on my front door, but when I put that door on my house in 2021, I didn't realize that I might be putting up the wrong type of door for fire protection, because it's a wood door. It's a beautiful wood door, but I'm going to be looking into protecting it with some sealant that's fire retardant, because I don't want those embers to fly on my front door and that starts my house on fire from the outside to the inside, because it's a solid wood door and it could be burnt right through. By the way, on that retardant paint, I saw some videos online and it was pretty amazing. Watching those videos, they had put a flamethrower on the paint that was fire retardant and then just regular paint, both on the same siding. And the fire retardant paint actually really worked well. The fire didn't even make it to the wood, whereas the other fire on the regular siding burnt a hole right through the siding. It was pretty amazing to watch. You can watch some of those videos. And by the way, you should just Google PBS weathered and then inside the LA firestorm, and that should come up for you. You can watch that video. I'll try to send a link included in this video as well. So we've covered the roof, we've covered the vents, we've covered the zone 0, which is the vegetation and everything around our house, siding, windows, doors, and then number 7 was the fire retardant paint, which I've talked about several times now. And the very last thing is gutters. Now, many of us might have gutter covers, or the covers that keep all the needles and the leaves and everything out of our gutters. And if we don't clean out our gutters, then that just is more fire retardant right inside our gutters. So either keep your gutters cleaned out or consider getting some gutter covers. Now, I want to tell you that I have references for most of these things. And you can consult. I have painters that can consult with you about staining and sealing and painting. I have a company called StormGuard that can talk to you about James Hardie siding. They can also talk to you about roofing. I've got window people that can talk to you about what type of windows you have. Come to me and talk to me, and go to my references, my 5-star referral center directory that has most of these contacts, or just contact me directly. I wanted you to start thinking about this, because if you ever are in a position to even just, it's time to paint your house, or it's time to restain the deck, or it's time to put new windows in, or it's time to re-roof. I wanted you to be thinking about these things. These are all my notes, my friends, on this. And I'm going to keep you informed, because I want you to be thinking about keeping your home a passive solar home and also a fire retardant, safe, hardening home. And anyway, so I'm kind of doing this video extemporaneously with a few notes because I want you to really pay attention to when you improve your home. I want you to be thinking about these two things. Very passionate about these things. I would love to help you and protect you and even help you possibly with some insurance savings. So that's my thinking for you today. I hope you got some good tips out of this, and have a wonderful day. And this is Jim Urban with Urban Companies Real Estate signing off. Please don't keep me a secret. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.